One person I interviewed spoke to and met the real Joe Millionaire.
I went to this bar, Hotel Monaco in D.C. And I just walked in and the buzz was that was him. Everybody was just kind of whispering and pointing, and so...
But no one was going up to him?
No, he was
Why
just
not?
sort of standing in the, amongst a bunch of people, just kind of trying not to make eye contact with anybody. So I just got all excited, and my date was like, "Is that Joe Millionaire?" And I said, "Oh my God, it is." And then I was like, "No, it's not." But he had such a distinctive face and eyes, even though his body looked different than on the show. I thought it just had to be him. So I was like, "Oh my God, you're Joe Millionaire!" And I went up and I touched him.
And so, you know, I believe that he didn't make a lot of money, but I don't think that he really cared so much about that. I think he was looking for love, as we all are.
And he didn't even respond at all. He just ignored me, and I was like mortified. He just looked down into his drink and just like he was just really cold expression. He just didn't even want to talk to anybody. So then I was like, I felt really bad, but I knew it was him at that moment because he wouldn't have acted that way otherwise.
It was a little bit too much. It wasn't even reality. It was like they were living in a super fake world because they were all living lies.
Yeah, but I almost had to, I mean, like, with that one, is like you had to watch it because it's like a train wreck. Like, you can't just, like,
you like
walk
the
by
lies.
and yeah.
You buy into the lies.
I don't buy into it, but you can't turn your head. It's like, it's just something about it. You have to watch it.
Then we just left, because we just left him alone because he didn't want to talk to anybody. So then he went out, he left the crowd and went out onto this terrace at the bar, away from the crowd.
That's good TV, I guess. That's the cliffhanger. I mean, they did. We were angry as all hell when they didn't show us the answer on that one. But
who's angry enough to stop watching?
And that was the whole thing. There was we were reading. I was reading lots of like posts online about like people really angry and they're like, we're gonna boycott it. We're gonna boycott it. Nobody boycotted it.
Oh, like Joe Millionaire? Oh, that was horrible. That was a big letdown. But that's Fox.
I said, I feel bad. I said, he's a person. He wants to be treated like a person, and the way I just treated him is like he's a star, and he obviously doesn't want to be treated that way. And everyone was afraid to talk to him, and I just was so determined to even know for sure if it was him. So I decided just to leave the crowd and go out on the terrace and approach him. So I just went up to him and I just said, "Hi." I said, "Are you Joe Millionaire?" And he just said, "Yeah, I am."
He was like a likable person in that he wasn't the brainiest guy in the world, but he was really nice. Yeah, there was, I guess, that appeal to it, but I don't the whole premise of the show is rotten. Like a relationship based off of a lie. I mean, I hated that almost as much as I hated that Temptation Island show.
And then I said, "Oh, I just wanted to say hi." I said, "I'm sorry about before," I said, "but I just, wanted to say hi. I watched the show." And he's like, "Oh, hi, what's your name?" And I said, "My name's Lynn." He's like, "Nice to meet you." And he shook my hand. And he was talking with an older couple, so I sort of just joined in on their conversation.
Because he was cute also, they were charmed by his looks and his cash.
Well, he just started talking about how he felt about his fame. That's the first thing he started saying, how I guess the older couple had sort of been prompting him in this direction about the show and asking him lots of questions, how he felt about things, and he just said, "Well, yeah, I'm having a really hard time dealing with the fame, and I don't know," something to this effect, like, "I don't know if I can deal with it, it's really overwhelming," and something like maybe he would go back to construction because he didn't know if he could handle all this fame, he didn't have any privacy anymore, and he just, everywhere he went, it's just, a big deal, like, he said he's at dinner and people once one person wants to take a picture, then he has to take a picture with everybody, so he just says no and doesn't do it at all.
Well, Joe Millionaire, I think he should have picked the other woman, not Dora, because he picked Dora. And the one thing that's happening with all these reality shows is that the couples don't seem to be working out.
And then he said, I used to really think that stars or people were snobby when they didn't want to give their autographs if they were famous, he said, but now I get it, I understand it. He's like, because now I feel the same way. He's like, I don't want, to be bothered, I want my privacy, and I just don't have it. He said, I was at the airport and these girls were following me for like half an hour and I was on my phone, and he's like, I just couldn't get away from them, they wouldn't leave me alone. He just kept talking and telling us how he felt about his fame, and he made a comment that I said, well, why don't you disguise yourself, wear sunglasses or something. He's like, oh, I've tried that, and everybody still recognizes me. He's like, you know, I've tried everything except like shaving off my hair so I'm bald. He's like, I'm about to try that.
So I kept hoping that there would be some good outcome where like there would be some honesty.
He's like, I just get really tired of talking about the show from morning till night, and people always ask me stuff. But he was talking about it so much, so I didn't mean to be rude, but I just said, well, you don't, he's like, gets really boring talking about it. And I said, well, you don't seem bored talking about it.
And the money really isn't that big of an incentive. I think the bigger picture there is that they get to be on TV, they get to be famous, they get to be somebody.
And he's like, well, yeah, you try talking about it all day from the time you wake up till the time you go to sleep. So he just seemed kind of bitter and angry about the whole fame thing. And people were, I think, having a hard time understanding that when I told them the story later. They just said, oh, like, well, then why did he want to be on that show? And what, you know, the only thing I asked him was, did he keep in contact with any of the people from the show? Did he make any friends? And he said, no, not really. Unfortunately not. And I'm thinking, I wonder why.
You know, it was a good show, but the guy was such an idiot, such a moron, and these girls that were with him just totally didn't, like, see it. It was so dumb. Like, how stupid do you have to be?
He said that they wanted to tell him exactly what to say. It was very scripted, and they wanted to tell him how to act and which girls to be spending more time with. And he said, no, I just didn't want to do that. He said, I just refused to do that. He said, I'm not being paid as an actor. And it just, you know, he said, so we had some disagreements with the producers about that kind of stuff. And he said it was insulting because he, you know, grew up doing construction, and they knew that, he said, and they met, you know, they saw the place where he grew up, and he was insulted because he said, oh, they thought I would have grown up in a trailer or something. You know, and he grew up in a normal house in Virginia. I just have no privacy. He said, it's not like I'm like Tom Cruise and Rita Wilson where I can just buy an island and get away from it all. He's like, I don't have that much money. The truth is that I did think he seemed just like a down-to-earth guy, like a regular guy who is just kind of bitter that he has so much fame. But I think he secretly must enjoy it. He's got to.